do. Well, I guess this is another update, really. But it's an update on the progress of the metal stringed goatskin banjo that I effected a repair upon, and an update on the new body that I'm making to replace it. I like the look of the hairy one, but the fact that you can't seal it because it's hairy, and so therefore it can absorb so much moisture and have so much more give in the wrong conditions. It's a bit of a pain, and it just keeps stretching and keeps stretching until it becomes dysfunctional. The repair that I did actually worked quite well. See, the bridge is still a little bit sunken. If I show you the inside, you can see that it's, you know, a bit nearer at that point, but it's much better than it was. If I play this, usually the sound bottoms out. They're quite loud, these things, and the microphone doesn't seem to be able to handle it, so I'm going to play it very quietly so you can hear the tone at least. Yeah, it's sounding really quite nice now. Much better than it was. Yeah, it's a dilemma. So the other one needs to be pretty good. Otherwise, I've gone to a lot of work for nothing. So let's move on to the other one, because the other one at least served as a demonstration of how to, and maybe even how not to, make a tack head banjo pot. This was the outcome. Quite pleased with that, really. I think it looks more stained now that it's on the body, and maybe with the light coming through it and stuff, than it did when I was pulling it out of the tea and coffee concoction. But it seems to have worked. What do you call that? Coffee and cream. It's a sort of coffee and cream. The tacking really isn't too clever, and as I said earlier, I would definitely drill some pilot holes. It makes sure they were the right spacings, it makes sure they were the right heights, and so even if they went a little bit bandy thereafter, you wouldn't get quite as much variation as this. As long as it holds out under the tension of the fence wire strings. And also, I really should have glued it beforehand. I even mentioned it about forgetting it and then forgot it. Anyway, it did help that I got some glue around the rim here, well, around the outside of the rim. It would have been nice to have got a bit, you know, higher up. But this is one day, it's already tightened up. So I'm quite pleased with the outcome. I like the colour. It's going to go reasonably well with the neck. And there's something about this shape. That camera's a little bit high to show you this, hang on. Big fat thumb. I wanted to demonstrate how I thought making this body shape with a cutaway to sit on your knee, I thought that would be just great. And I suppose in some ways it is. If it's sitting on the seat beside you, if you're on a bench seat, if it's just on your knee, it tends to sort of do this, and you tend to end up doubled over it. And you're kind of better off doing the traditional banjo thing anyway. But that traditional banjo thing, because the body's smaller and it's all up that end, then the way you sit means you reach much further round to the peg head end of the neck for your chords and things. And also you crane more to look than you would on a guitar that would actually be sitting more like that. It's kind of right there, which was the logic behind my design. And since I made this and a 6 string. For the 6 string that kind of works. 6 string you're kind of bang bang sort of, and it's fretted. So, but if it's a fretless neck, you really need to look. So that fretless long neck is really quite a crane for my neck. This great big thing. It's something, is it a 33 inch scale length or something? It's silly anyway. If you hold it here, you hardly even reach the end. It's out of camera shot. And then having to look and see where you are, and it being fretless, you really do have to look to see where you are. So I find this bit of it. I tend to sit there on the bench seat beside me, or wear the strap. And that's the same solution really for the 6 string with the old body. I'd wear the strap, and then it can sit anywhere really. But it means you have to have the strap, even if you're sitting down. The idea of this shape was that it might sit on your thigh, and then it's coming off at the right sort of angle. You could still sit it there like a conventional banjo. If you really wanted, you could sit it back here. But the idea was, because I noticed that's what I tended to do if I didn't have a strap on those other instruments, I tended to just rest it on my thigh here. That's where it just seemed to want to be. But it's quite good. It means your arm comes over the bit here, reaches around. When it's like that, it's kind of gripped between your thigh, the crook of your arm, and obviously holding the neck, so it's quite well clamped. Your hand's kind of in the sweet spot. I mean, I don't know because I haven't played any instrument with this body shape yet, but I'm hoping that it's going to be improvement. It's certainly better with external corners. The internal corner was quite a problem, whereas with an external corner you end up with pleats, small pleats that tie to the turn. But with an internal corner, you've never enough. You're robbing from somewhere else. It's much harder to fit a skin to a body shape that has internal corners rather than all external corners. That's for sure. And then also for the body size, there's more volume. It's a bigger area. If you have an internal corner, it's a cutout. You're losing some of that skin area. So I'm thinking overall this is going to be louder. Hopefully it's going to be tauter. And also more weather resistant. The next thing is, once I'm confident that it's completely dry, and I'll probably do that by detecting whether the note changes. I can check this tone against the tone that it has tomorrow to see if it's still drying or not. When the tone stops increasing in pitch, I shall know that it's as dry as it's going to be. And there's a reasonably good time of year for it. We've had some quite, especially for London, we've had some reasonably warm, dry weather, and believe me, that's not always the case. We get a lot of rain in London. I mean, when I say a lot, I don't mean like every day. It doesn't rain every day. I just mean a lot. I can show you that by looking out my skyline. Yeah, anyway, what I need to do is to get this all sprayed and lacquered up before the next rains. And then hopefully it's not going to stretch very much. It won't lose its pitch too badly, and will end up with a better and louder tone than the previous one. That's the hope, that's the desire, but time will tell. I can't think of anything else I particularly wanted to say. Oh yeah, that was the last point I wanted to make. That this is really quite amateur. Listen, you can see for yourself. It's really quite amateur. I could improve upon that by doing pilot holes. I could make sure they're in a straight line. With a bit more time and effort, I could have made a better job of this, for sure. And you could too. So that was the point, that even as badly done as this, you'll be surprised how good a result you can get. And so if you put the glue on first and you've done a nice neat rows of tacks, and some people do this, where you have a high, low, high, low, high, low, and that looks really quite attractive. And it's more forgiving than if you try to get them all in a dead straight line. I do this that way myself next time. No, that's about it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Do come on back. I've yet to marry this with the neck and see how it sounds. Maybe I can do some sort of sound test, the before and after. I think once I put this on, I think there might be no going back. I've got to drill new holes and make a new lock stop. Yeah, I might even adapt the bridge. So there may be a point of no return. Maybe I'll try and do the sound test before I dismantle the old one and assemble it with the new. So thank you for watching. See y'all again soon, hopefully. Cheerio.